William Shakespeare's birth in April 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon did not suggest that a future world icon was coming into the world. The third of 8 children in a modest middle-class family, William's early life was likely typical of other children in Stratford during the Elizabethan era. His father, John Shakespeare, was a glove-maker and a prominent figure in local affairs. Stratford-upon-Avon, a market town in rural England, was no cultural or intellectual center, and nor was Shakespeare's family or his schooling one of deep cultural leanings. It was a modest English town. William Shakespeare started out as a small-town guy. Though details are scarce, it is believed that Will attended the local grammar school in Stratford, where he would have been exposed to the basics: math, science, Latin literature, and some of the classical works. The basics. After that, there's no evidence that the future playwriting maestro went to university as a young man. This was perhaps due to his family's finances. The cost of university education in the Elizabethan era was significant, and generally, only individuals from relatively affluent backgrounds could afford to send children to university. Sound familiar? In the late 1570s and early 1580s, John Shakespeare experienced a decline in his financial and social status. The reasons for this decline are not fully documented, but we have some clues. John was involved in various business ventures, including trading in wool and agricultural products. It's been suggested that these endeavors weren't always successful. Debts may have mounted. In 1592, he was recorded as having not paid a subsidy tax for several years. Whoops. In addition, he was involved in some legal matters, including lawsuits, which might have added to his financial duress. All of this likely had an impact on the family's ability to invest in William Shakespeare's education beyond a basic level, alas. But perhaps it was for the best? Between 1585 and 1592, at the age young William might have been in university, there is a gap in the available records of his life. This absence of definitive records has given rise to an enduring fascination with the lost years of Shakespeare. What might he have been up to? Well, here's some of what has been speculated. William Shakespeare might have traveled during these years, possibly as far as Italy, gaining exposure to different cultures and experiences that could have influenced his later works, such as Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet. But there is no record of this. Or he may have been involved in the London theater scene during this time, possibly as an actor or in some other capacity, learning the ropes, so to speak. Which he did quite well, but we don't know for sure if he worked in the theater in London. There was no social media back then. Some speculation has that he was involved in legal or business activities, possibly working as a lawyer's clerk or some other professional endeavor, perhaps. Or maybe he tried all of these things. As young people do, tend to experiment and come and go in roles as they try to find themselves. We see this in Prince Henry's young life and Shakespeare's as Henry IV. The truth is that we just don't know for sure. Hey, we all love a good mystery. Still, the sheer quality of Shakespeare's writing suggests he did time in the school of hard knocks. Yes, his plays show that he grasped deeply the classics of history, politics, and had an understanding of several other cultures. But what sets him apart is the universality of his storytelling. We get him. We can all relate to his tales in spite of the language and cultural differences. That's what is central to his gift. Shakespeare's profound understanding of human nature does not come from a fancy degree given by a snooty university. It more likely comes from being in the trenches, so to speak, from life itself. We might conclude, Will got his hands dirty in the real world. Perhaps being around real people of all classes, shapes, and sizes, and experiencing the myriad ups, downs, and sideways that the human condition has to offer, was this playwright's PhD and gave his talent the material it needed. During those lost years, William Shakespeare was found. What is known is that he emerged in London by the early 1590s as a successful playwright and actor, contributing significantly to the English Renaissance theater scene. It was the beginning of an amazing career that took him to the pinnacle of British power. Indeed, Queen Elizabeth I and her court were patrons of the arts, and Shakespeare's plays were performed for the royal court. His acting company, the Lord Chamberlain's Men, later renamed the King's Men during the reign of James I, was sponsored by the monarch. The rest, as they say, is history. Less well known is that William was also a savvy businessman and something of a financial wizard. He became a shareholder in the King's Men acting company and the Globe Theatre. He also invested in real estate in his hometown of Stratford, as well as involvement in the building of the Globe Theatre itself. This drive to succeed financially might be due to the challenges his father experienced when Will was a lad. We can only speculate. But this successful entrepreneur didn't go to business school any more than he took playwriting classes. He seems to have learned by doing. A college degree is nice, nothing wrong with it, but it won't set you apart from the crowd. Talent, life experience, and a keen understanding of the full breadth of humanity might do that, especially if you're a playwright. It worked for William Shakespeare. Though he's not around to discuss, some of his works may just sit on your shelf, awaiting your curiosity. Crack open that book or buy tickets, because it's very likely one of his plays is currently available somewhere near you. Yes, he's that big a deal. From a small and rural town in Britain, William Shakespeare became one of the most celebrated and renowned writers and persons in human history. Not bad for a guy who didn't go to college.